there's kind of an interesting AI product update that we think is kind of flying a bit below the radar, I would say. So this relates to Notebook LM, which is a personalized AI research assistant from Google that's powered by its Gemini 1.5 model. So if you use Notebook LM, you basically create virtual notebooks where you upload, organize, and reference anything like documents, slides, PDFs, research, websites, and more, up to like 500,000 words per source, according to Google. And then once you upload those sources, Notebook LM uses Gemini 1.5 Pro to analyze, summarize, and connect the dots between all the information in all these sources you've pulled together for some type of research task. But now Google has added this pretty incredible new feature, which is called audio overviews. And that's a mild mannered name, but the results are a little crazier than it suggests, because what you do is you now can create an audio overview of any material in Notebook LM that simulates a deep dive audio conversation between two AI generated, like essentially radio or podcast hosts. It's literally like listening to two very realistic hosts talking about the material that you've specified. So, for instance, before we recorded today, I dropped in the website for Marketing AI Conference, which is now advertising our 2025 dates. And it generated in a few minutes, like 5 minutes of conversation between two AI hosts that sound honestly indistinguishable to me from real humans and like have all this crazy cadence and conversationality. And it's just, I found it pretty stunning, Paul. I know you are super impressed by it. You can try this out. We'll drop the link in by going to notebooklm.google. There's no .com, just .google, and create a notebook, drop in a source, a doc, whatever, generate an audio overview. But what I wanted to kind of talk about today, Paul, is like first, maybe your impression of the audio overviews feature specifically. And then like, seems like Notebook LM is like kind of a sleeper tool in terms of its implication.
Yeah, so this came out on September 11th, so right in the middle of the conference. But like even as we're going, like I just my habit is I'm always scanning Twitter for updates, and so I saw this and I immediately put it into our sandbox for the podcast this week, and then made a task for myself in Asana as how I do my task management. Like you got to test this. Now, Notebook LM came out last July as an experiment in Google Labs, and I remember testing it at the time and thinking this seems really cool, but like I gotta dig in more. And I've had a task in Asana for the last like 6 months to experiment with Notebook LM more because it seemed like it had a ton of potential. But it wasn't until this surfaced where I like went back into it. And so, it was on our list to talk about today. And then this morning I actually went in and the first thing I did with it was I gave it the O1 safety card, like the system card from OpenAI. And I was like, let me just see how this works. And because it's a 48-page PDF. And so I drop it in and 30 seconds later, like all of a sudden it just pops up and I can do all of these things with the tool. So it enables you to go through and build FAQs. If there's timelines within the document, it'll do that. You can create a study guide. You can write a briefing doc. It gives you suggested questions. You can have a conversation with it, like ChatGPT style. It's like retrieval augmented generation. It's like a RAG model where you can just talk to the document, but everything gets cited. And then like it'll actually do a split screen where it'll pull up the source and highlight for you like where the citation is coming from so you can verify facts. But then as you alluded to, like the real magic and kind of that wow moment was when I created the first audio overview. And it starts playing and it's a man and a woman's voice and it is insanely conversational. And it's like it's obviously taught to do it, like tuned to do it at a very I don't know, like an 8th grade level, like maybe high school level, but they took a complex topic and they use analogies, they use filler words, like it truly sounds like a real conversation and it's incredibly valuable. And so as soon as I heard the first one, I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so then I took our state of marketing ad report, which is something I'm
Mm.
intimately familiar with. And I was like, well, let me just put this one in here and see what happens. So I created a new notebook around that one, started having a conversation with it in the chat, created the audio. And it's honestly one of the most impressive AI. It's not even a demo. Like, this is a real legit product. It's still tagged as experimental by Google, but it's one of the most impressive AI products I've ever tested. Um, and so like I was half joking to myself. I didn't put this on. I shared something on LinkedIn about it this morning. But like, if 2 years ago someone created this product, you they would have raised $100 million like in their
Yeah.
seed round. Like, it is potentially like, and I try really hard not to over exaggerate it. It is a potentially transformational tool, because I immediately started thinking, like, you and I look at earnings calls all the time. As a CEO of a company, I have financial reports, I have analytics reports. We look at 3 to 5 research papers a week, podcast transcripts. There's like all of these things we do to do our podcast, to run our business, to do our jobs, you as chief content officer, me as CEO. I honestly can't imagine moving forward where I won't use this tool in every one of those use cases.
Right.
And so, like, immediately I thought, oh my gosh, one, I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. Like, the audio thing's awesome, but it's just like cherry on the top kind of awesome. The whole thing is awesome. And so I even said in there, like, I've been working a lot with my daughter lately, on teaching her like Chat GPT and like how to use it in a very functional, augmentative way that enhances what she's capable of doing at 12. And like, this is immediately a personalized learning tool for me. So like,
Mhm.
now when my kids are trying to learn something and they're struggling, or if I'm trying to explain a concept to them, I'll just be like, let's go get a source and let's put it in here and let's talk. Let's listen to a 10-minute podcast together about this complex topic. Like, it is wild. So if you haven't tried it, you really have to go in and see it for yourself. Um, I again, I don't want to like over exaggerate this, but like, I would pay $20 a month for this.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
part of Gemini right now. But once the use cases are clear, which I think is where a lot of these tech companies, these AI companies struggle, is to like get those 3 to 5 use cases that are so insanely valuable that they alone are worth the 20-30 bucks a month you're paying for the whole language model. This is one of those where I could see this within a month being so integrated into my workflows, like Perplexity and ChatGPT and
Yeah.
Google Gemini already are. Um, and it's insanely exciting to me because you and I analyze dense technical information so often to try and make sense of it. I just see this being a critical piece of doing that. So I mean, again, you experiment with it as well this morning, but it's a mind-blowing capability.
Yeah. My jaw doesn't drop that often these days, but like hearing the voices cover the content, and especially just like, I think it was the little stuff that got me the most. Just the two hosts like talking about our event and mentioning the background of some of the speakers and being like, look at the diversity of companies at this event. Like, this was not stuff that was like on the website. It
And
was
then the
really
other person's like,
interesting.
"Right, yeah, I see
Right.
it."
Yeah.
Like, like, "Whoa."
Wild.
And you just and then you realize how much further voice capabilities are than what we have access to right now. That was the other thing that kept running through my mind is, we know we have advanced voice mode from AI coming sometime soon.
Yeah.
Um, Google has advanced voice capabilities, obviously. And so it just like, you just realize how further ahead these research labs are than what we likely have access to. And we even heard that like in the interviews at Macon this week, where Andy Sack and Adam Brotman were talking about when they met with Reid Hoffman, like
Mm.
months before anyone knew GPT-4 was a thing, and he already had access to it. And Bill Gates, same story. Andrew Mason at Descript told the same story, how he and Sam, who are friends, Sam like basically showed him and gave him access to GPT-4 long before any of us even knew ChatGPT was going to be a thing. And it reinforces the fact that there are advanced capabilities sitting in these labs that we may not see for 6 to 12 months, but when you hear this audio overview, like, it's like looking into the future and then imagining that being applied. Like, the thing I kept coming back to was this idea of personalized learning for my kids,
Mm.
and really for any student, and even in a professional environment, to like just instantly have a 10-minute summarization of some complex topic in a really approachable way. That's just wild, the implications.